We got some new country balls. Canada with their hockey stick. Panama split down the middle because, well, they have a canal. This is definitely one of the craziest country balls I've made so far. And finally, a big old fat Greenland. It is the biggest island in the world, after all. I know one guy that's definitely down to buy all these country ball plushies. He actually might buy up the whole stock out here. You know what to do. Head over to makeshift.com before they're gone forever. Time, as always, is running out. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of their history. This is by Country Z, Our Days. We have to go way far back. Whoa, we have to go back to the year 1 for Canada? Oh, that's true, because we're going to break down some of the natives that were here way back in the day. Oh, that's... I wonder if we're going to get into the awkward situation of what Canada did with the natives. A lot of attention gets put on us Americans, but Canada got a lot of things bad in the past, too. Bam! We're just going to fast forward. Okay, yep. We're going to fast way on... Well, we have to. We basically have to go to the year, like, 1500. Past that. Oh, that's right, the Vikings. Okay, so do not forget that it was not the English that first founded Canada. It was the Vikings that got here first. That ball specifically is Leif Erikson. He actually looked more like this in real life. So they're going to land in Newfoundland first, even though that's not exactly Newfoundland, but yes, the Vikings did make it there. What the heck is that? Some plastic? Yeah, the Vikings and natives did do a little bit of trading, believe it or not. Oh, and fighting, I guess you could definitely say. But yeah, there were definitely historical evidence to show that there were some interactions. The year's 1000, discovery of Vinland by the Vikings. Colonization attempts. Boom. What ball is that again? I'm a little bit confused about that ball. That one looks familiar. I know I've seen it before. Okay, so they're gonna just do a little bit fishing off the coast. Oh, from the Basque region. Oh, they're from actual modern day Spain. That's crazy. Is that real? Wait, what this is so news to me. There's 7,000 people that claim ancestry from the Basque region? I had no idea it was this high of amount of people. And then they go all the way back to bring some fishes. Maybe some stay. Clearly some stay, because 7,000 people with ancestry are still chilling there. I really like the fish animation with my country balls. Never thought we'd see those two combined. Spain and Portugal sees what's up there. They're like, whoa, we need to get on some boats too. Okay, they're gonna just go to the Caribbean, right? They're just setting sail to, I guess not. They are straight up in Canada right now. 15th century, beginning of fishing in coastal waters of North America. Wow, that's in the 1400s, so they were about to figure out, what's his name? Christopher Columbus was about to sail the Ocean Blue, 1492. We got the French over here. I mean, that is the craziest thing about Canada, obviously, is that it's a country that speaks English and a country that also speaks French, and the English side lets them. Crazy. There's more French people coming on over. They look happy. That's the old Kingdom of France. When they had the old flag, establishment of the first French settlements. They're going to meet a lot of the Canadian natives, work together with them somewhat. What's Portugal going to do? Now remember, I don't know why Portugal must be just investigating. Now did they... Oh, wait a second. They actually might have had a piece of Canada when they did the Treaty of Tordesillas. I actually don't know for sure, but this is how they divided the world. Obviously, this mostly went to Spain back in 1494, and this is exactly why the Portuguese just went after Brazil. You can't see... I mean, the line. Where is the line? They could get a part of Greenland. That was technically on their side of the world. They're just out here exploring. Probably for some furs. Of course, furs were really big in Canada. That was what a lot of the, the furs, especially like the Russian side, the Alaska side. Fur trade was massive. This might have still been a little bit too early for that focus. What the heck is Portugal writing down? Just observations? They're just taking notes out here. They know that they can't start the colony themselves. What the heck? Okay. There's a lot of interesting animation there. Oh, it's Venice now. How many balls are going to make it over this way that I had no idea about? The Iberians, the Basque region, now the Venetians from Italy. What are you doing now? The Venetians came over. I mean, did they... What? Oh, we're specifically talking about Venetian John Cabo, or Galvoni Cabot. Whoa! I am learning actually a lot about I'm having to double check this video's work even though they're killing it. It got me second guessing myself. I actually had no idea about this, man. That is amazing. So now he's gonna set sail back this way. Here comes the English. So there was the French, there was the English. French got here first. Oh, well, England is going to start with the 13 colonies, but it's obviously going to spread out. That's something to remember. The North American continent was just a giant landmass. It wasn't, you know, it's easy to forget, like, you know, oh, back in those days, there was no fake border made up between the United States and Canada. It was just all just giant uncolonized lands of the Europeans. So the French have made it. The French still control an island over this way. I always forget about it. The French are only like a couple miles away from Canadian mainland. Well, I mean, basically Canadian mainland. 1534, so they're doing expeditions up inside. Oh, that's the Iroquois tribe. Not sure exactly why I remember that flag, but... Oh, a little bit of war is happening. Iroquois invasion of North America, 1550. Why do I remember the Iroquois tribe? It must be all the Paradox games or something like that, but that was crazy. I'm actually surprised my flag recognition there for some of the native tribes. So now we're bringing over religion to the natives. Specifically, well, Catholicism, but I don't think Protestantism was even a thing just at this time yet. It's close. Did we have an Iroquois man? I do know that we brought... Oh, man, I always think about that. The amount of natives that we brought all around the world to Europe at this time, that must have been absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, the arrival of Catholic missionaries. Iroquois invasion, 1615. Holy crap. Just smacking them around. Bam. All right. So they've made it to Newfoundland again. How many people are going to make it to Newfoundland? That's what I want to know. All right. So they're getting their butt beat by some of these natives. So more Englishmen are going to have to come back. 1583, we have the beginning of English colonization of North America. So they're going to start, but obviously they're starting in the 13 colonies as well. Oh man, I just realized we're going to have to talk about the War of 1812. That's a big one that, you know, all the school systems love to talk about. Canadians love talking about how that's how they got the first dub over the Americans, or, you know, they burnt the White House down, so they count that as a pretty big dub. I think I kind of agree. So they're manufacturing stuff, architecture, probably other things more than just that. 1640, founding of Hudson Bay Company. Yes. I'm still a little bit like, because of the independence of Canada, it's an interesting one. When is it? 1980s technically is when Canada fully became an independent state. But there's these different moments in Canada's history where they got more and more kind of sovereignty. More and more they acted as their own country. This might be, why is there a Roman ball here? We have a British ball, the French monarch, and some Prussians. Oh, this is probably the war. Why is there a French ball? Sorry, not a French ball, a Roman ball. Is this the 7 Years' War? It could be. It did see fighting with some natives back in North America. Here we go, UK and France. Agreeing. 1763, as a result of the 7 Years' War, I was right. Okay, the Canadians passed to Great Britain. Yeah, France was going to hold on to that. They were going to be a little bitter about that whole thing. That's why the French were going to ultimately help the 13 colonies get their independence. Okay, and now we literally have Americans. I believe that's early American balls. Oh, that's such an interesting way to display the flag. So this is a colonial America, but it's actually using a modern day USA flag and an old Union Jack before they included Northern Ireland there. This is just the Kingdom of England and Scotland, I believe. Yeah, 1783 recognition of the United States because they got their independence. We got a big old America. I mean, obviously our borders did not look like that back in 1783, but we were eventually going to get there. USA and France shaking hands, working together because we were cool and allied, I guess. 1791, the partition of Quebec into Upper and Lower Canada. Interesting time to do that, specifically because the French were dealing with a massive revolution, basically cutting people's heads off around this time period too. 1790s. The French Revolution was kicking off. I think this is the War of 1812. I believe this is the War of 1812, so we're going to see some British Canadians and USA get on into it. Planes? Why the hell is there a plane? How many times are we going to shake hands? And is this supposed to represent all the many different treaties of Versailles? Because we have had a lot of treaties of Versailles. That makes kind of sense. But that's the Arc de Triomphe back there, so I don't know. All right, so they're jumping onto the airplane. They're crossing over the border. Technically, these are still supposed to be British balls, yes, even though you can start to represent the Canadians with that old Canadian colonial flag. Detroit, a very interesting part of the U.S. I believe it's the only city from the lower 48 states where you could head directly south and enter Canada, because like Detroit is like somewhere right here. You can technically go south into Canada. But we're specifically talking about, oh, are they rebuilding the White House? After the, oh, here it is. Anglo-American War, 1812 to 1814. There they go. They burned it down. Like I said, that's the Canadians' big old, probably the biggest thing they've ever done. Burn down the White House. Let's be real. I mean, they've had a lot of, I'm not saying they haven't had a lot of accomplishments. They've had a lot, but they burned down the White House. Like they're able to hold that above our heads forever. And I don't blame them. I would do the same thing, to be honest. So now we're starting to kind of work together more and more. USA and the Brits. Oh, there we go. Now we can start to use the old, that's the Canadian flag, colonial Canadian flag, which I think it's pretty iconic, that's for sure, just because they held it. They had that as their official flag for so long. I don't know if I necessarily would say it's better than the 13 colonies flag. I think that's a cool flag too. That's just, yeah. But that's an iconic one, I will say that. I like how the Australians are still kind of rocking this whole Union Jack in the corner with mostly one color. It's crazy. 1967, the beginning of Canada's independent politics. The beginning. So this is the beginning. Klondike? The gold rush? Is this the gold? I was just learning how Alaska had their own gold rush. I think so much focus gets put on California, but yeah, there's gold all over the place. And that helped push people out towards the west, which both countries desperately needed. Get more population out there. Bam! Look at that gold. I'm assuming that's what's going on here. Yeah, they're mining for gold. And they found it. Yeah. So it was all up and down the west coast, including the Canadian provinces, British Columbia, and things like that. Klondike Gold Rush, 1896. I like how they give us the subtitles afterwards. That way I can like check my answers to make sure that I'm not just like throwing out random statements. So this is going to be World War I? Is it World War I already? I don't know when else the Germans and Russians fought. So these are the Canadians going and helping the British Empire during World War I. Interesting flag to use there. I don't know if I would have used that flag, but okay. Yes, Canada's involved in WW1. Alright. They defeated a lot. And World War II, that's the League of Nations ball. And here they are shaking hands. Nice. 1927, 1931, the coming of full independence. Interesting. Now, I know when I Google Canada's independence, we're going to get like 1980 something, but this is, yeah, the coming of full independence of Canada from Great Britain. And now we have some discussions. This is probably World War II, I'm thinking. What is that? Start of Canada's Lend-Lease for 99 years. I see, okay. The Lend-Lease Act, World War II ruins. Oh, so we are, okay. I wonder why they use the Prussians for that German World War I. It's like, because if we're willing to use this flag for World War II, then I thought there was like some flag sensory going on. No, I don't know what's going on. So the Germans are going after the Soviet Union, obviously. This is the Eastern Front of World War II. They're going to bomb London. Which prince was that had to run away to London? The one that abdicated the throne. I forget what his name is, but yeah, he had to go to Canada. Sorry, he ran away from the throne, went to Canada. Because he was trying to marry outside. I don't remember. The King's Speech talks about that. 1940 to 1945, Canada's involvement in World War II. Okay, so the Germans did not actually, well, let me rephrase that correctly. The Germans did land in North America, but I don't think there was fighting quite like this. They did find a weather station in like northern Canada years after World War II ended, apparently. So I guess you could do this animation, even though I think it doesn't necessarily do it justice, what actually happened. The Canadians didn't have to necessarily fight for their freedom. Canada's accession into the United Nations in 1945. This is right after World War II ended. Here they are reading the books and stuff. And they're about to do their final flag change as the Leaf. Probably the most, I mean, I was talking about how, like, their old British colony flag is pretty iconic. This is one of the most, I think, iconic world flags in general. Even Americans that don't know flags very well, they can usually recognize the Canadian flag. It's like the Canadians, the Union Jack of the British, and then, like, Brazil. Those are, like, the three ones, or Mexico. Those are the ones that, like, Americans that don't know much about geography, they can still somehow get. Denmark, France, Italy, the UK. What the heck is all this? Why are they arguing? Oh, the G7? Oh, my bad. Never mind. 1949, creation of NATO. So this is the beginning stages of NATO. Canada's a pretty important person in that whole organization, too, because would it be the North American Treaty Organization without Canada? Like, you can't just have just the U.S. and North America. It does feel better when you have two whole different countries. And remember, at this time, you know, NATO's kind of created because of the threat of the Soviet Union. Remember that their borders are not as far away from the Soviet Union as you would think. If you look at a flat map, they look far. But you can go right over that North Pole, and the Soviets are right there. So the Canadians definitely were very worried about the Soviets during the Cold War times. Here they are hopping across. Handing out some money, handing out some cash money. What is this cash money for? Oh, get out. Get on your side. Reduces spending on Canadian immigrants. Oh, this is a weird thing to take note of, I feel like. To have a specific... Was that a really big deal for the Canadian history? Which one's Trudeau? There's got to be a Trudeau in there. Farming. 2018, Canada's second in the world to legalize cultivation and use of cannabis for medical purposes. Oh, interesting. 2022, the Pope visit to Canada. Yep, Pope Francis. Are they literally giving them money? Okay. Interesting. Obviously, the Quebec region of Canada, specifically very Catholic. And here they are building some churches. Interesting. Very interesting. Every Brit's favorite country outside of our own. Loyal brothers in arms. Love Canada from the Philippines. Love from Germany. Okay, a lot of other countries watching the history of Canada. Now, what about the history of Greenland? Now, this is going to be obviously very close to Canada. Well, actually, some of the origin parts, we will be able to see some similarities because the Vikings also get there. They do the whole pranking, calling it Greenland and Iceland, switching that up, but then ultimately going to the Danish. It's interesting that we're doing these two countries together, specifically for the Countryball drop, because they do share kind of a similar, I mean, geographical location, but also history in general. 2500 BC, that's crazy. Yeah, so these are some of the first humans. That's crazy. They was just chilling up here. It's hard to imagine. It's actually hard to imagine, like, early humans deciding to go there. I would go literally anywhere else if I was one of the early humans. I would not want to go to Greenland. It was around 2500 BC. It was not easy to get to Greenland. They first had to go, you know, through the Bering Strait, so that kind of explains why humans didn't really get there all that long ago. That's not crazy. Funny enough, the Great Pyramids were literally built around that same time period. Okay, so they're starting to repop Independence 1. Is that because... Why? Okay, 1300 BC, 800 BC, Independence 2. I like the noises they're making. There's some orcas. They probably have great fishing up there. 700 BC, early Paleo Eskimo. I thought you were supposed to say that. Oh. After the decline of culture, the island... What was that? After the decline of culture? What kind of culture? The island remained unpopulated for centuries. Whoa. Till the Vikings. Eric the Red.
Where's me money?
These are old Viking flags, I believe. I thought that was Greece at first. I don't believe that's Greece. Where's me money?
No.
Didn't someone escape because he murdered? Yeah. Doesn't this guy escape
Viking
because...
Eric Rowdy was sentenced to a 3-year exile from Iceland for killing...
Viking Eric Rowdy was sentenced to 3 years... Oh, exile from Iceland for killing a neighbor, I see. I like how back in those days, if you were a part of the Vikings, you can kill someone and just get exiled for 3 years. Like, that's not the worst thing ever. I mean, it's pretty bad. You are likely to die, but you can survive, especially Greenland. At least they give you a chance. The world's too industrialized now. We can't just like throw people, like throw prisoners in the wilderness anymore. That's actually how you probably start like an accidental civil war or something. It's 983. So they're starting to build up. Some of those Vikings just never left. They're just going to chill there. It's so funny because you always see maps about how, like, we don't have data on Greenland. We don't know anything about Greenland. Every map you see that is supposed to inform you about certain statistics about the world, Greenland is always in no data. So this feels like we've just founded, like, the Holy Grail or the Fountain of Youth, something that our eyes should have never been able to see. Actual information about Greenland. I think the reason for that is actually just because Greenland is like a subdivision of Denmark, but Greenland takes up a bunch of space on the map, especially with like flat map projections. So they look huge, and yeah, it's just a part of Denmark. It's Denmark's region to go after and learn about. Question mark?
Going to Greenland.
Is it greened? Oh, that's right. This is how you trick people, because I think that was one of the things that they wanted to do to get people to migrate over. Say it was greener. 10th century, founding of the first Scandinavian settlements. To be fair, there are parts and times of the year where Greenland is green, but not very much. And not very often. See, there's some green there. Just not as much as you'd expect from a place literally called Greenland. In its heyday, the colony had between 3,000 and 5,000 inhabitants. Wow. Eastern settlements. So this whole Viking part, again, they kind of share, like I said, some similarities with Canada, so that's the interesting part. I'm interested to see what happens with Greenland during World War II. Because I always see their mainland gets taken by... Denmark gets taken over. Vikings and maybe some English appear to prosperity for the colonies. Oh yeah, they're part of Norway officially. And then Norway's gonna get passed around between Denmark and Sweden like something. Can't finish that. Establishment of Greenland, some religion. Expeditions to the west. They're gonna get to explore a little bit more out there in Canada. Again, some shared histories. The discovery of 3 regions of the American coast. Vinland. Oh, we're still, my bad. I don't know why I thought we was like way past this point now. This is still the Greenland Vikings making it over to Vinland or modern day Canada for the first time. Oath to the King of Norway. So this is 19th century climate cooling. I'm sorry, 14th century, my bad. My Roman numerals are a little bit rusty. Some plague doctors. Oh, the plague making it over there. Dang, it made it all the way to Greenland? That's an underestimated plague epidemic. That's not often talked about. 1408, last written records of Scandinavia. Expedition of admirals, these 2 admirals, Portugal, here we go, the brothers, Portugal and Spain, well these are specific Portuguese brothers, but Portugal and Spain about to discover the world in the very beginning. So not only did they go to Canada, but also to Greenland. I'm wondering how much research the Canadian episode helped for this episode, because obviously the Canadian episode came first. This one was only released like a month ago. So Portuguese expedition of these areas across Greenland to America. So Denmark, Norway. This is under Denmark, Norway. The country, I think it's called, what was it called again? I think it was hyphenated. Denmark, Norway. So 16th century establishment of Danish authority over the island. Fredrik III. I believe there's going to be a small Nordic union still for a brief time period, but yes. The Danish have a long history here. 1652 to 1654, 3 expeditions of King Fredrik. And now we have, is that the Dutch? Oh, they don't like that. They say, get the heck out of here. The Dutch always getting kicked out. 1739, this battle here with the Dutch. Man, they did. Yeah, no Netherlands. Sorry, Netherlands. Everything, every colony that you wanted or that you wanted to hold on to, it always didn't go very well at all. Norway's going to switch to the Swedish side, I'm thinking. Yeah, the Danish-Norwegian Union. So 1814, preservation of the Danish influence after the loss of Norway. So that really solidified that, okay, Greenland is Denmark's officially. Publication of the first Greenlandic language newspaper. Oh, that's interesting. I love their cute little blush. Self-government. Expansion of local self-government.
I'm willing to pay money for fish.
Okay. Thank you for that. 20th century increased investment in the fishing in fishing industry. Yeah, fishing industry. So this is the 1900s. So the world wars are about to take place. This is specifically World War II. We're going to skip over World War I. So Denmark is going to get taken over. Let's see what happens to Greenland, though. Not only Denmark, but also Norway, too. So you have that Nordic subdivision just kind of out there on their own. Also, we know the UK invades Iceland, takes it over in fear of the Germans doing that instead. Oh, Greenland and the USA working together. Is this part of the Monroe Doctrine? Greenland becomes the de facto U.S. protectorate. Is this in Hoi 4? I don't remember that in Hoi 4. That should be in Hoi 4, but maybe, I think it is. I just never play it. I'm only watching it. Bombing of Germany. Them surrendering. And bammo. They're going to take, so the USA going to give that back after the war. It was returned to Danish control. USA and Denmark having, oh
Don't
no,
you
is
want
this?
to become a separate state for money?
Look at this. Look at, people forget about this. The US has attempted in the past to buy Greenland. Especially 1946, it makes sense. It's just funny how this is still going on today. We've been wanting Greenland for a minute now. I wonder if they'd let Canada buy it. Oh, are we going to talk about the Whiskey War too? Technically, there was a Whiskey War for an island, Hans Island. Let's see. So the Danish get accepted into the EU. Here goes the application. Here's the acceptance. 1973, Greenland joined the European Union together with Denmark. Damn, they kind of joined a little bit late. Slightly late there. Here they are voting. Voting in green. Here we actually finally get to see the ball right here. Look how beautiful that thing is. No more EU. 1985, Greenland's withdrawal from the European Union. Oh, interesting. So they had their first Brexit before Brexit was even a thing. They had a Brexit way before the British people. State of the Inuit people. Are they changing their name? Oh, that's why I see it called that sometimes. Hey! Greenland was named this after gaining authority as a part of Denmark. Hey! I see it sometimes in different video games called that. Is it called Nuke? Yeah, Nuke. Greenland's capital was renamed to Nuke. I didn't know that. 79. And we have Greenland television. Local television appears in Greenland. Man, that's 1982. You didn't have television until 1982. Man. That's crazy, Greenland. Remember, there's only 56,000 people that currently live in Greenland to this day, so there's not a whole lot of people up there, even though it is a giant island. Development of international relations. We have some argument over Greenland's active participation in addressing the challenges of Arctic region. I mean, they should be a pretty big role. They should play a very big role in that. These are all countries that have territory kind of in the Arctic region. Of course, you got Greenland, Iceland, Canada, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Russia, Sweden, and the USA. Everyone kind of nearby the North Poles, protecting Santa Claus. Danish-American Agreement 1951, the revision. Uh-oh. Bam. They're doing a little bit of voting. Oh, we're not going to talk about how we tried to buy them again? No more attempts to buy. There should be. I mean, we've been trying to buy it a lot recently. There's another spelling of Greenland, I guess, from Kazakhstan. And all of a sudden, America, you're next. Greenland, no! So yeah, back near World War II, Greenland already was a de facto United States protectorate with the entrance of the United States into the war December 1941. Again, that was probably a smart idea just to make sure that the Germans don't take that over. That'd be a perfect jumping off point, a landing pad for the Germans into World War II, into North America, I mean. Finally, we have the last country ball on the list, the history of Panama. Panama has had a very interesting history, and we're going to start off with, of course, under Gran Colombia. Well, Spain, are we even going to start from the Spain part? On November 3rd, 1903, Panama gained independence from Colombia on the initiative of the United States, which wanted to include Panama in its sphere of influence and subsequently dig the Panama Canal, yes. So the U.S. was going to de facto control that Panama Canal for a while. So bam, U.S. helps Panama get their independence. United States has signed an agreement with Panama granting their sovereign rights to the canal zone, and they began working on it in 1904. Remember how massive of a deal the Panama Canal was. Like, if you don't have the Panama Canal, you got to go all the way through South America to ship stuff, instead of now just going from, you know, whatever, the port of Los Angeles to, well, straight over through the Panama coast up into the Caribbean Sea, and then you make it to Florida or New York from there. So it was a huge thing for the U.S. to do this. They needed it. A lot of other people needed it. I'm not surprised the U.S. helped them build it, though. From Indian, Chinese people helped to build it. All sorts of different workers around the world helped to build that. There it is. There's the construction. 1914, the first ship passed through the Panama Canal. However, the official opening of the Panama Canal took place July 12th, 1920. Yes, absolutely massive. I believe there's a fee that the ships have to pay now, right, to go through the Panama Canal. It's also very interesting because don't they lift ships up at different ports? It's not like just a straight shot. They lift and then sink ships by pumping water in and pumping water out to certain compartments. That might be how the Suez works, but I'm not 100%. I don't think it is. 20 people died as a result of the riots. Oh, wow. Was signed, but claims the U.S. rights to the canal zone increased. Finally, on January 9th, 1964, there were riots in Panama. 20 people died. Wow. Yes. Obviously, this is why, well, Trump argues to get back the Panama Canal, because, it, you know, we helped build it initially. We kind of de facto controlled it for a little bit there. He was able to convince the United States to transfer control of the canal to Panama by 1999. However, Omar didn't make it 1981. 1983 has been the head of this guy. He pursued regressive policy in relations with the United States. Numerous economic sanctions against him. By the way, this is also the Darien Strait, which is a very difficult thing to pass. They always talk about that there would be a Pan-American highway except for the Darien Gap, I should say. Yeah, there's no road in this part. You can still cross it, though. That's what I'm hearing. The United States launched as an operation to invade Panama. Oh, my goodness. Am I surprised? No. The U.S. is doing that all over the place in Latin America. Bam. Oh, there's a little war. Oh, there's a war screen. I was like, what is going on here? Is this under control? So I'm assuming, is Panama red or blue here? I'm assuming they are blue. I don't think Panama would be able to win a war against the U.S. unless the U.S. just didn't send anything, which is possible. Panamanian City was bombed by U.S. Air Force, however, which fled to the Vatican. He fled to the However, he was captured a month after his escape. Oh, that's right. This is under Reagan, right? Despite the strained relations between the United States and Panama in 1999, Americans still transferred the Panama Canal under... Yeah. And now it is... So that was marking how the U.S. controlled it, and now Panama's here, independent, fully their own. Today, Panama is a rapidly developing country, and it has a bright future. Today, the population of Panama is 4.1 million. Wow, Panama City, largest city, almost at 1 million. That's amazing. Right there next to Costa Rica as well. That was Cool. I mean, I knew a lot of that, but that was cool. That was by UK Ball. Really great stuff there. And the first two were by Country Z. Definitely be sure to check those first links down below to makeshift.com to get a hold of Canada, Panama, or Greenland. They will be gone forever. This is the first 3 Country Ball drop in a while. This is actually the first big old plushie drop in a while, but I felt like for the biggest island on Earth, it was definitely necessary. Big old thanks to my patrons over at Patreon. Go out here calling bro a history expert. Tambre, Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, NordTyrol, Nolan, Miglu the Goat, LuxembourgLover, KirinoIsBestGirl, KingBearHaze, Fredrik Tibblin, DOOCHBAGGINS, Pavlik, Carmel Saida,
AlexanderTheTerrible.
If you'd like your name here, check out that link in the description down below to patreon.com.